Alright, what you see here is a Casablanca Delta 2 ceiling fan. It is in the polished brass finish, and I got it off of Facebook Marketplace quite a few months back. I want to say around maybe March or April of this year. I got it because I've been looking for a 5-bladed version for a while, or one that had a 4 or 5-blade flywheel, as the other one that I have is a 4-blade only one. This one is from November 26, 1993, and it is the 467th fan made that day. Now, it did come with the K4S and the oak blades that you see on it. However, the only thing that's not original to the fan are the shades. It came with shades that are just like these, except it didn't have the gold ring on at the end of them. I found these at a Habitat Restore, the one that We Fire 88 volunteers at, and I figured these would look really nice on this fan. And like I expected, they look perfect on it. Definitely has a 90s look to it with these shades. Even without the shades, it already would have had a 90s look to it. But these are like the shades that when I look at these shades, I just think of the 1990s and such. But yeah, I really just love how this fan looks. The 4-way combination looks really nice on it as well. There's the tag. Zoom in so you can see it better. But yeah, I got it for quite cheap. So for the price that I paid for it and having a K4S on it too, I figured it was a really good deal. Especially since I've been trying to find one to make in this exact combination with the 5-way configuration, of course, as well, for quite some time now. But yeah, these shades I really do feel look really nice on it. They're not Casablanca, but they still look really nice on a fan, in my opinion. I am using these glass LED light bulbs in it just to have clear bulbs on it. I do incandescence, especially to give it more of a 90s look. But with the heat, I really rather not have light bulbs that are going to produce any more heat than there already is down here, because it is pretty hot down here and such. So just for coolness factor, I figured maybe just put LEDs. That way it doesn't produce any heat from the light bulbs. But yeah, let me go ahead and show it with the light. And I absolutely love how this fan looks with the light on. With the 4 blades and the 5 blades. Something I can see like over a dining room or like a kitchen area. Restaurants. There's so many places I can see these in. Especially with the 4-way configuration. Living rooms. You name it. Yeah, I really love how this fan looks. It really reminds me of like a lot of childhood installs I'd see as a kid that were similar to this and such. I show off the lighting around me to give it a lighting test. And it lights up the space very well. It's not dark in here at all. I mean, there are clear shades too, so they definitely don't reduce any light output and such, since they're just clear shades. If they were frosted ones, it might be a little bit darker, but not by much. But yeah, I just really love how this fan looks to white. It reminds you of like a lot of catalogs or advertisements from like back in the day. I mean, it looks like a gallery edition fan in all honesty, in my opinion. I don't think Casablanca sold these type of shades. They might have, but I'm not too sure. But even then, I think these shades look perfect on the fan. I have like that old, that like restaurant of sorts, a cafeteria feel to it, which I really like. Or even just like an older kitchen feel to it. But yeah, let me go ahead and start off on the lowest speed. Definitely plan to show it without the light kit at some point. I just need to find a switch cap to put on it. But I figured it'd be more interesting to show it with the light. So I figured maybe just show it with the light for now, and then later on I'll show it with a switch cap. But yeah, I've always loved how these fans look with the K4S oak blades with clear glass shades on them. Even if they're especially if they're the crystal cut ones from Casablanca. However, I do like these shades on it more. That's because, not that I dislike those shades, just I'm not the biggest fan of the flower design on them, but it depends on the room that it's going in. Yeah, I'm not too sure where this fan was installed from the when I picked it up. It might have been like in a living room or a kitchen. I don't think it was kitchen because it wasn't really greasy. If anything, it just had a lot of surface dust. Might have also been in a bedroom too, who knows. But it had like a lot of dust on top of the blades from like sitting around and such, like not dust from it being in motion and such. So that makes me think it might have been like maybe in a bedroom or something like that where it wasn't used too much, or maybe like a guest room. I'm not too sure though. Yeah, I didn't make any contact with the seller. I just picked it up off the porch and left the money in the mailbox, and that's it. But yeah, the fan's in really good condition. There's a few scratches on some spot of like the motor housing and like a few of the blades, but nothing major. The brass is in really good shape. It's not tarnishing or anything. Yeah, it's definitely something I can like see like in a small, not a small kitchen, but like a decent sized kitchen, with like a small table in the center, and have like this be right in the center of it. As long as I like it with the 5-blade configuration, I think if I was installing the kitchen, I'd probably do it with the 4-blade configuration, just because it has more of a classy or a classic look to it for a kitchen look and such. I mean, I like how it looks with both of them. It's like the one combination that I'm not sure whether I like it better with 5 blades or 4 blades. With this fan, I feel like it's a tie, to be honest. But I might be leaning a bit more towards the 4-blade configuration for this one, especially with these shades. But I'm not. It's like one that I'm really 50-50. Especially the finish it's in polished brass. That's like the one finish that I always love it with 4 blades. Or 4 or 5, depending. I mean, it depends on the fan too, how it looks, but that's like the one finish that I like the fan like with either 4 or 5 equally. Especially if they're like something simple looking like these, like where they aren't super fancy looking or unique looking, just like it has more of a simple look to it. And funny thing is, this fan actually came with a recall clip when I got it. It's not. I'm not using it for the video because, from what I could tell, like the ball is not hanging out too much. I mean, it's from '93, so it might have been like, I'm not sure if this one's a recalled hang through or not. But it might have just been something that they were selling from this for safety at the time. I'm not too sure. But the hang through looks to be fine. The ball's not hanging out too much, so I just left it without it. Plus, I don't know where I put it, so I figured but it's only for testing purposes too, so there's also that. Like, I just really love how this fan looks. Like, just seeing it like this with the how it looks, it's like something I could see like in a showroom back in the day on like a display, or even like in one of those old Casablanca commercials they did. I'm not sure if they did any for like, the '90s era, but I could have sworn they had one like set up like this, one of the old commercials for like the '80s and such, before later on with the K4S. Yeah, that's a very stunning fan to look at, especially on the low speed. All right, now to move it up to medium. Thankfully, the blades on this fan are in like basically perfect alignment, so this fan's definitely not going to wobble almost at all. And if it does, it'll be like very minor. I know when I tested with the 5 blades, I did wobble at first before I did the video, but that's because one of the blades was bent sideways a bit, or the blade arm, so I just bent it back into alignment, and since then, ever since I fixed that, the fan barely wobbled at all. And it is one of the 4 that's on this set configuration right now. As the 5th one is one of the ones that had a scratch on it, and I know that one wasn't the one that was bent. So it wasn't really out of alignment, it was just kind of bent sideways, so it kind of made it wasn't like straight, the blade, it was kind of like sideways a little bit. So that caused the fan to wobble around a lot. But yeah, like, it's definitely like a fan I think is perfect for like a restaurant. Even if it had a 5-blade configuration, I feel like the 4-blade configuration definitely gives it more of a old school restaurant feel to it. Or just seeing a ton of them mixed around with 4 blades or 5 blades, I think would be pretty cool as well. Definitely doing a good job on medium. Yeah, out of all the Casablanca fans I think I've tested down here, this one might have like the best like alignment and blade wise. Like, it's not out of alignment and all that. I mean, so far that I've tested down here. I know like one of the styles that I had didn't really wobble much either. I think it was the white one. I know the brushed nickel one wobbled a bit, but that was more so because the blades were being warped. Same thing with the black one. Well, I think the black one didn't wobble that much, but it did have a tiny bit of a wobble. I think the champagne one didn't really wobble that much either, the Delta 2. I'm pretty sure the black one and the other polished brass one did have a bit of a wobble. But the brown Delta, from what I can remember, that one barely wobbled at all. Usually it's more so the blades that are warped that kind of cause them to wobble, I notice. Or the flywheel and such being a bit bent, depending on the fan. And like if the seller had it laying against the blades, attached still, after they took it down, that can definitely cause the flywheel to get like that. And the blades getting bent too. Also, I think it was also the Palisades that didn't really wobble almost at all either. The Victorian I know wobbled a bit, but that was good. One of the blades was pretty warped. Not severely, but had a bit one of them was definitely warped compared to the other 3. And this one's blades don't seem to be warped at all, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I honestly think the fan probably didn't get used all too much within the past few years or something. Because the spin down on it is not too long, it's actually somewhat quick. Bearing's not in bad shape, but it's just a bit of a quicker spin down compared to some other Casablanca fans I've tested. But there are some that I've tested that stop somewhat quickly too, but that could also just be from the motor not running around as much, like running and such, like if it was installed and being used constantly. Those are some fans that I use often, and they still don't have that long of a spin down, like the low profile plus in my kitchen. That's the one that probably gets used the most, and even then that one probably has not the quickest spin down. I feel like the Newton Veranda Deluxe in the closet or the Hunter bathroom dressing room in the bathroom, those two probably have the quicker spin downs. Not super quick spin downs, they definitely have a decent one for a small fan, but the kitchen fan, the low profile plus, I know has a bit of a quicker spin down despite that one being run a lot. I feel like it always really depends on the fan. I mean, I've seen Delta 2s that I've tested or seen people do videos of testing wise that they have quite a long spin down to them, and then there's some that have a quicker spin down. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move it up to the high speed. All I noticed with this one is when I move it up to high, I have like a cool startup sound of some sort. Okay, so it has a very slight wobble, but it's nothing serious. And if anything, it's like it's not that noticeable. I had a feeling they'd probably do that though after putting just one of the 4 blades, because usually when you have 5 blades, I know it kind of balances it out a little bit more. Yeah, for some reason I notice like after I shut off the light or if I turn on the light and then I back over here, I notice the focus kind of gets a little bit, it kind of has trouble refocusing unless I touch the screen. So I do apologize for that. Try to remember to touch it right away just so I know it doesn't stay on focus for the whole time that I'm showing it like this from here. It's doing a great job moving around the air and such. It's definitely a true example of Casablanca's quality back in the day. Still a good company nowadays, but it's definitely not as good like as what they used to be. Back in like the 80s or like 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s up until like 2013, 2014-ish. I mean, they always had some models or like some designs that had floss to them and such, but the quality still was spectacular back then. I honestly wonder if there would be any difference in terms of like how much it wobbles if I swapped one of those out with the other blade. It's barely wobbling enough, so it's really not something I'm worried about, especially for testing. But even if I was to install it and it wobbled just this much on high, that's honestly nothing, to be in my opinion. Yeah. Kind of see like how it's just wobbling just a very tiny bit and such. Alright. Yeah, I just love how this fan looks. I'm really glad that I found it too. Wasn't maybe that far out of a drive too, so I figured it was really worth it. It was like maybe like it wasn't really far out. It was like it's in the same town that has that boarded brick Stratford at that wildlife service place, and those two low profile K4S ceiling fans. It was a little bit further out into that town, but still it really wasn't that far out and such. I just didn't realize that that town was that big, like size and such. I didn't, so I was like surprised that it took me a little bit longer to get there than I expected. So, I can definitely say I feel like it moves a little bit more after 5 blades. It's usually the case when you have just if it's a fan that can be 4 or 5 blade, 9 times out of 10 it will move more air with 4 blades. Not a huge difference, but definitely a notable difference. Alright, now to shut it off. Spin down. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite scores of this year. I mean, there's definitely a lot of other ones that I'm more glad to have found, but since it's one I've been wanting, a combination I've been trying to find for a long time now. It's one I'm just glad to have in general. But yeah, as you can see, it's really not the longest spin down. Alright, now to show it on reverse. But yeah, definitely like a kitchen, bedroom, dining room, living room install for like a house. In terms of like stores or locations, like definitely restaurant install, I can see it working in diners and such, or it's almost any location that you can picture a brass fan of sorts of a light. Hair salons, barbershops, like it's a lot of places I can see these in, especially in this configuration. medium. All right, now to move it up to high. All right, let's keep it here so you can hear the sound. That makes when it goes up to the high speed. Hopefully making a cool sound on the high speed. It kind of sounds like a whistling sound of sorts. Something like that almost. Sound that I always like to hear on the ceiling fans if possible. All right. Yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.